A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John. Glory to you, O Lord. In that time, the Lord Jesus said to his disciples, I have yet many things yet to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. When the Spirit of the truth comes, he will guide you into the truth. For he will not speak on his own authority, but whatever he hears, he will speak. And he will declare to you the things that are to come. He will glorify me, for he will take what is mine and declare it to you. All that the Father has is mine. Therefore I said that he will take what is mine and declare it to you. A little while, and you will see me no more. Again, a little while, and you will see me. Some of his disciples said to one another, what is this that he says to us, a little while, and you will not see me, and again a little while, and you will see me? And because I go to the Father, they said, what does he mean by a little while? We do not know what he means. Jesus knew that they wanted to ask him. So he said to them, is this what you're asking yourselves? What I meant by saying a little while and you will not see me, and again a little while and you will see me? Truly, truly I say to you, you will weep and lament, but the world will rejoice. You will be sorrowful, but your sorrow will turn to joy. When a woman is in labor, she has pain, because her hour has come. But when she is delivered of the child, she no longer remembers the anguish, for joy that a child is born into the world. So you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
You can notice how Sunday after Sunday, the liturgy of the Word is bringing us from the great mystery of Easter, the resurrection, to the great feast and mystery of Pentecost, the day when the Holy Spirit, under the shape of the flames, went down on the heads of the apostles in the cenaculum. I think the English one is cenaculum. Not sure, but maybe it's like that. Where they were together, praying and living together. And today, in the Gospel, we heard Jesus saying, a little bit, just a little while, and I will not be with you. But then again I will come. And they're not able to understand what he's saying because they can't understand what the cross is meaning and the resurrection is before experiencing it. It's like when you go on your training and you read a lot of books about being in hospital, then you have the first patient, and even though you studied everything about it, it's like the first time ever. It's like you have never studied anything. I think, I've never trained as a medical doctor, but I think that being there, experiencing what it means to be in front of a patient is completely different than reading about it in a book. And so, Jesus is preparing his disciples to experience his death and resurrection. But more than all, he's preparing them to be themselves those who are going to spread the gospel all around the world, as he is doing in his actual life. And I think it's very beautiful that today we have the chance to hear in the first reading the history of conversion of St. Paul. Saul that we heard from, is St. Paul. You know, he was the greater persecutor of the Christians. We know him from the beginning of the book of Acts as the one who went all around the Palestine to persecute Christians in order to defend the faith, the original faith, the faith of the Hebrews, that he thought was the right one. And so in his mind, his thinking was, if I want to defend the authenticity of our faith, I have to kill all those who who followed Jesus. And so, to defend the Hebrews, I'm going to kill all the Christians. But then, while he was going to Damascus, yeah, exactly, I was thinking exactly like that. Because, say it loudly, please. You can. Somehow we are witnessing the opposite nowadays. Somehow we witness a world in which people think that even today, 2000 years after all the civilization that we have reached, it's the power of muscles that is the one that we should use to make a point on what we think of, on what we believe in. It's the power of weapons, the power that we should use in order to close the mouth to those that don't think the same thing that I think. Okay, yeah. To close the mouth to oblige others to believe what I believe in. To be part of my country as my citizen or go away. But it's not just Palestine, it's also Russia and Ukraine, South Sudan, and there are more than 150 wars around the world, something like that. The Pope Francis used to say that we are living the third world war. That is not just one word, but it's like partizionata, in little pieces, okay, all around the world. What is happening is that what Saul used to think, is what nowadays we still think. But then something changes in his heart, because he makes the experience of God asking him, Saul, Saul. And when in the Bible someone is called twice, the great rabbis says that it's because it's like a calling. It's God that is calling you to a mission. Like Samuel in the temple when he was a child. Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And so he understands somehow that God is not the God Sabaoth, the God of the armies, the God who uses strength and power and weapons to make a point of who he is or what his power is. God is the God of weakness, the God of tenderness, completely the opposite. And so, somehow he is made blind. He's not able to see. It's a beautiful image to say that he lost all his perspective points. He lost all his... like when you are sailing in the sea and you don't see anything around you, and you don't have a compass, and there are no stars above you, and you have no lighthouse to drive you. So you're not able to know where to go. He's completely blind. But what changes his heart? Do you remember from the Acts? What is the turning point in his life? I ask you so that we can interact a little bit, otherwise you're going to fall asleep. What's the turning point at this point in his life? What makes the difference?
Ananias.
Exactly. Ananias. Ananias was a Christian. He knew that Paul was the great persecutor. But somehow he is sent by God to St. Paul, to Saul, to welcome him, to welcome his great enemy and tell him, why don't you baptize yourself? Why don't you let me baptize yourself? Why don't you enter in the Christian way? Why don't you make yourself a Christian? Because I see in you not just what the others see. I see in you something special. You will be sent to bring the gospel to the peoples. You will be sent to spread the gospel to those who nobody else would reach. You are the one who will be the great missionary of the gospel. That's how we know him. But he needed someone. He needed Ananias to go to him and tell him, I'm here to help you. I see in you something that even you are not able to see. How great it is when it happens for ourselves. I don't know if you ever made such an experience. Maybe yes, I don't know. someone who is able to look at you and see the great richness, the great treasure that is hidden in your heart, in your life. You're not. Why not? Every one of us has a treasure in his heart, in his soul, in his life. The point is that somehow we're not able to see it. I want to share with you this event that somehow changed my life, because I think that it's not just theoretical. So in order to see what it means for me, I'm sharing it with you. After my high school graduation, it was 20 years ago, so many years ago, I went to Peru in South America. I went there to work with poor people. I stayed in this beautiful town, 3,500 meters above the sea. So the very first period it was very tough to breathe and to work and stay there. But I was there working with people. And the last days that we were in that town, we went all around the houses of the poor people to ask to them if they needed something, because once we would have turned back, be back at home, we could have made some work, some job in order to gain money and send them to help them. Just to help you. Notice that these people are living in mud houses with the grass paglia on the floor. Thatch.
Yeah.
On the floor. And so when it's winter there, so when here is summer, this period of the year almost, it rains for months. So they live in mud, because the floor is made of earth, there's no pavement. Okay, they cook in the same room where they eat, which is the same room where they sleep. They have a house made of one room for the entire family. So they are really poor. But once we entered in the houses, a lot of them told us, oh, don't worry for us. We can survive quite well. Go to the other house. They have a newborn baby. Go to them. They need more help than us. And this was the very first touching experience that made me ask myself, what do I want for myself? I make a point when I'm not able to have what I want. I'm not able to thank for what I have in my life, and staying in front of them that have nothing, and hearing that they don't need anything because someone is worse than them, was the very first experience. But then what happens is that entering in a house with a little baby, we found these grandparents, because the parents were working somewhere, we don't know. And there was this little child and the grandpa, but there was no grandmother. We asked for her, and he told us that she was sick. She was in diarrhea, so she wasn't able to wake up from her bed and come to welcome us. So we chatted a little bit with them, then we turned back home. I took 3 kilos of rice, and I went back to their house to bring them some rice, because otherwise she would have kept eating minestra, brodo, soup. And she would have never recovered from her diarrhea. And so I brought some rice to help her. It was not so far away, like 30 minutes, so it didn't took me such a great effort. After a week, we were in the next town, 3-hour walking, for the great feast of Mama Ashu. Mama Ashu is the Assumption of Mary. It's the 15th of August. And in the crowd, a lot of people there, I saw the grandpa walking to me with a sack, with a backpack. And when he reached me, he stopped in front of me, and he asked me to wait a little bit. He took off his backpack and took from the backpack a carpet, a big carpet. And he gave it to me, saying, take this, because I want to thank you, because my wife is way better now. thanks to your rice. That didn't cost nothing to me. But she's way better now. And since I work in the fields, I'm a farmer. But when it's too dark and it's not possible to go on working on the fields, I go back and I make these carpets to sell them in the market in order to gain some money for my family. I want to give you this one. And he didn't want anything back because he already had what he wanted, the health of his wife. And I have this carpet in my wife like a relic. It's the most important object in my house. Because somehow I made the experience that Saul made that day. Meeting someone, looking at him like a treasure. Like someone able to make his life something so marvelous that he was able to see. Something more precious that he was able to notice. That man in front of me saw me as someone that gave him the only thing really important in his life. And Saul made such an experience. Meeting Ananias, who was the one who was going to kill, saying, "You will be the great missionary of the gospel. Come, be baptized." What Jesus is saying to his disciples in today's gospel is, don't worry. Maybe in your life something is going to happen even though you don't want. It's going to happen in a different way that you wish. And that's not a problem. That's not a problem. Because the great treasure that is hidden in your heart just waits to be discovered and brought to life. And even in the worst situation, you will always be able to be the man or to be the woman that you are meant to be. Don't worry, even if you make some wrong decisions, if your choices are not always the best, don't worry about that. There's nothing that is greater than the love of God. And if you let the Spirit to enter in your life, if you let the Spirit of God to nourish your life, your spiritual life, well, you will be like me. You will live my very life. The same life that I'm living. The life of love that I'm living. Don't worry. The last part of the gospel is beautiful. Let me read it again. The last verses. This is the first reading, sorry. It went back. Okay. So you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. No one will take your joy from you. Not a government who is going to bomb your house. Not a wrong decision. Not someone that is saying that you are not able to do something. Not yourself. When you underestimate yourself, nobody is able to take your joys from you. That's what it means to be a Christian. To live everything in the joy of God. To live everything in the presence of God. And when we are not able to find this joy, please look for it in the hearts of your friends. Look for it in the life of your families. Look for it in the life of the church. I think that today or yesterday, Pope Leo told, now is the time for love. Now. Not tomorrow. Not when I will be graduated. Not when I will be a doctor. When I will have a family. When I will be father or mother. Now. Now is the time for love. No one will take your joy from you. Let us this to God. Let us to find people able to help us to see the great treasure that is in our lives. And maybe be able to help others to find this very treasure in their lives.